Labial plates are a traditional adornment of women of the Mercy tribe, Ethiopia. Cameron Diaz in front of the Las Vegas welcome sign, 1990s. Gerald P. Carr, commander of the Skylab 4 mission, shows off his strength in zero gravity by lifting pilot William R. Pogue with one finger, 1974. Roller skate scene in Venice Beach in the late 1970s. Fake rooftop town built to hide Boeing's factory from potential Japanese airstrikes, 1944. A hole in the Berlin Wall used as an improvised border crossing next to the Reichstag a day after its fall, 1989. Cameron Diaz in the 1990s. A Navajo Indian is wearing a mask of Hashabad in 1905. King Hussein of Jordan among his troops on 1st March 1957. A potential customer examines an advertisement for an illegal drinking den or speakeasy during United States Prohibition in the 1920s. David Stanley Ingle, seated with singer Shirley Lloyd, was the first front-cover United States soldier on Life magazine February 16, 1942 issue. Jamie Swan jumps off a short stone wall at Fort Greene Park in Brooklyn, 1886. An Israeli family during the Gulf War, Ramat Gan, Israel, 1991. Looking up California Street from Sansom Street, the great 1906 San Francisco earthquake. Rita Hayworth, circa 1942. Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, 90s. First logs on Columbia and Puget Sound Railroad, 1879. Rick Moranis, the supreme leader of the 1980s Cool Geeks. Ilya Glazunov paints a portrait of Fidel Castro, 1984, Cuba. Destruction of one of the anti-aircraft defense towers in Berlin, 1948. Students are listening to music during art class in 1957. Valerie Dolores, 1970. The first wireless telecommunications tower, created by Nikola Tesla, enabled transatlantic telephony, radio broadcasting, and wireless transmission of electrical energy. Rosa Shanina, she had confirmed 54 kills. She was 19 to 20 years old. A child pumps water using a hand pump, USSR. Art performance. A car crashes at high speed into a wall of burning televisions, 1975. Hector the Rat, the first French astronaut, in 1961. Salma Hayek, 1996. The Tallest Cowboy, Ralph and Tex Madsen. The state-run militia patrols the streets of Chicago during the race riot of 1919. Photo dated August 1, 1919. The Urimes are an extinct indigenous people who lived on the western part of the Karelian Isthmus. By the turn of the 19th and 20th centuries, they had almost completely assimilated into the rest of the population. Leone, 1995. India and Their Hairstyles, 1920. The White Slave Children of New Orleans, 1863. Residents watched the shelling of the White House, Moscow, 1993. Children walking to school on stilts, 1961. One of the replica Christopher Columbus ships that sailed from Spain for the World's Columbian Exposition in 1893. North Carolina Pizza Hut, Fayetteville, 1950s. Astronaut Joseph Kerwin blows a water bubble through a straw during the first manned Skylab mission, 1973. A woman is putting a mask on her dog during the Great Smog in London, 1952. Freddie Mercury having a sleepover with some close friends mid-1980s. Miss Antifreeze, New York, 1950. Jimi Hendrix yearbook photo. Bob Dylan and Levon Helm playing ping pong, 1974. Hot sweet potatoes on sidewalk store, New York City, October 4th, 1942. The African wobe mask is from the Ivory Coast. Men judge women's ankles at a competition in Kent, England, 1932. Dr. Marcel Petiot on the right is tried for the serial murders of 27 persons and is in front of the suitcases of his victims, filled with their belongings. Paris, France, March or April 1946. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle and his dog Luke in 1919. Christina Applegate. It's the 1990s. Following a fight with a 5-alarm fire in Brooklyn Heights, firemen struggled to free up equipment completely encrusted in ice in 1980. Rick Astley meeting Princess Diana in 1988. (1865) portrait of Brigham Young, second president of the Church of Latter-day Saints, founder of Salt Lake City, and the first governor of Utah. Young had 57 children with 56 different wives. Alain Delon in Beijing, China, 1987. Former Japanese kamikaze pilot Hichiro Nomura holds a wartime portrait of himself as he stands next to a Mitsubishi A6M0 fighter jet. The Graf Zeppelin airship flies over Gran Via Street in Madrid, 1930. Kurt Cobain, 1970. Anne Margaret poses with a baby leopard, 1960s. Shoshone Indian, 1884 to 1885. Madonna, 1984. Cinder Lake Crater Field Number 1, photographed after an additional 96 craters were added in October 1967. Drying hair over an oven, Kiev, 1958. Natalie Wood in the 1960s. Liv Tyler in the 90s. A man arguing with AIDS activists holds up the Holy Bible in his defense. Orange County, California, June 20th, 1989. In 1982, Agnes Diniz cultivated, grew, and harvested a 2-acre wheat field in downtown Manhattan. Joseph Ratzinger, the future Pope Benedict XVI, 1965. Coca-Cola in Dublin, Georgia in 1912. Marilyn Monroe, photographed by Philippe Halsman for Life magazine, 1952. Portable soft drink stand at Bowling Green, New York City, October 1st, 1942. The destroyed San Francisco City Hall and dome at McAllister Street and Van Ness Avenue. The Great 1906 San Francisco Earthquake. In 1996, Beck Weathers was left for dead on Everest. His team even called his wife to say he had died. But hours later, frostbitten and barely alive, he stunned everyone by walking back into camp. People sleep sitting and lying down at Grand Central Terminal's main waiting room in New York City during a massive power failure on November 9, 1965. The area is lit with emergency lighting. Raquel Welch, 1966. Girls pretend to fall from a sled on Mount Rainier, circa 1925. The luxury cruise liner La Jeunelle ran aground and became a tourist attraction before being dismantled, California, 1970. Shigeshiro Izumi of Japan set a record for the longest working life, having worked for 98 years on a beet plantation and retiring at the age of 105. A woodsman wearing spiked shoes opens up an empty boom at the upper end of Mooselook-Meguntic Lake so it can be filled with more logs from the Kennebago River, 1943. There are Afro-Mexican children in Guanajuato in 1910. British soldiers and police pose for a photograph with a defused 1,000-kilogram German high-explosive bomb. Glasgow, March 1941. Jerry Hall in a photo shoot with Norman Parkinson for Vogue magazine. Soviet Union, 1975. Queen Mary's doll's house being packed for shipment to Windsor, 1923. A Soviet doctor in Sochi relieves headaches in 2 American tourists using innovative medical equipment, 1970. Ford Model T snowmobile, 1922. Emeril Lagasse in the 80s. Donut Queen, 1951. Nice-based arcade machine, 1980s. Launching a hot air balloon in the Governor's Garden, Minsk, 1899. Land in a new territory is auctioned off in this tent, California, 1904. Linda Carter from the 1970s. French fashion, 1910 to 1920. A Londoner examines the combustion chamber of a German V-2 rocket in East London, March 1945. A crashed Convair car, 1947. Joe Price uses a 50-pound hammer to nail up a notice, 1934. Felix the Cat debuted in the Thanksgiving Day Parade in 1927. Eva Braun, wife of Adolf Hitler, in 1937. She's in blackface. Morgan Freeman as DJ Melmounds on the Electric Company, where he played several characters from 1971 to 1977. Autochrome shot of Greek soldiers in their uniforms, 24th of May, 1913. Stretcher bearers carry wounded soldiers to a dressing station near Buna, 1942. Farewell to the fallen on the deck of an American aircraft carrier. Pacific Ocean, World War II. Martin Scorsese is giving instructions to Michael Jackson on the set of Bad in 1986. Tatum O'Neal, the youngest Oscar winner in history at 10 years old. William McKinley, the 25th United States President, walking into the expo where he would be shot twice. International Posture Queen, 1957. Samuel L. Jackson and Gina Davis in 1996. Sean Connery and Jill St. John during a break on the set of Diamonds Are Forever, June 1, 1971. German companies that supplied the Third Reich with equipment during World War II. Frank Lentini, who was born with 3 legs, became famous in the United States. He was nicknamed the King. The highlight of his act was kicking a soccer ball with his 3rd leg. Elizabeth II's visit to Ghana, 1961. Stanley Kubrick with Shelley Duvall and the Ghostly Twins during a break in filming The Shining, 1980. A German woman facing public humiliation because of a romantic affair with a Polish man, 1942. Iraqi Vice President Saddam Hussein with his security director, Nadim Khazar, 1970s. During Saddam's rise to power, Khazar became notorious for his brutality and love of personally torturing state enemies. In 1941, Russians were deporting Estonians to Siberia. Arnold Schwarzenegger, circa 1950s. Central Park, New York, circa 1870s. Supermodel Cindy Crawford in Hawaii. Anita Ekberg, who won Miss Sweden in 1950, then went on to star in La Dolce Vita. During a London County Council election campaign run, Mickey Mouse is showing on a small screen in a city street. 1931. George Nyssen, inventor of the trampoline, jumps on top of a pyramid in Egypt, 1977. A United States postman carrying a baby boy along with his letters, United States, 1900s.